Thank you all for coming. This is great. These two students I'm very proud of, Kristoffer Mugrage, I got it finally. Chad Palmer, I've known him for years, I still can't get his last name right. They're graduating this semester. What we're really excited about in HPPE is they both decided to stay here and do their master's in exercise science with us as well. So this is a really interesting talk. I hope you enjoy it. I'm not going to take up their time, so go ahead.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Chad, and our project is on fitness age testing of middle and long distance runners.
So what is fitness age and how do we test for it? Fitness age testing measures physiological age, or the age at which represents your fitness. And this is an adult test scored from 18 to 80 years, 18 being young and healthy, 80 being old and unhealthy. And the four components of health that is measured during these tests is cardiorespiratory fitness, flexibility, body composition, and muscular strength and endurance. The goal of the test is to measure or to score at or under the participant's chronological age, so you represent being a little bit healthier.
So the purpose of this study for us was to measure the physiological differences between middle and long distance runners. And we hypothesized that long distance runners would have a lower body composition and a lower cardiorespiratory fitness age, while middle distance runners would have a lower flexibility and muscular strength and endurance age. And after testing, we recommended exercise prescriptions to help each of our participants improve their overall performance and health.
For our participants, we chose a special population that consisted of 5 male NCAA Division II middle distance track athletes and 5 male NCAA Division II long distance track athletes. And the criteria for middle distance was that they had anybody that specifically competed in 400 meters to 3,000 meters, and then anybody for long distance, the criteria was that anybody that competed specifically between 3,000 meters and 10,000 meters. And the athlete's average age for our participants was 22.4 years old.
So prior to testing, all of our athletes had to sign a consent form, and they had to complete a participant activity readiness questionnaire and a health screening questionnaire. Basically, we wanted to make sure our participants knew what they were getting into, and also that they were healthy enough to complete exercise testing. And then we had them fill out their personal information on a data form, name, age, email, and activity level. And then we measured their height and weight using an electronic scale and a sturdiometer. And these measurements were taken in imperial measurements. This image is an example of the electronic scale and the sturdiometer we use to measure height and weight. And this image is an example of the data form that we use to collect the results for each participant.
So after we take height and weight, then we go on to anthropometric measurements, which is just circumference measurements of certain areas of the bodies, so such as chest, which is right around the nipple line, waist, which is the skinniest part of the waist, right around the belly button, the hips, which is the widest part of the hips, around the gluteus maximus, the thigh, which is right under the gluteus maximus, and then the calves, which is the widest part of the calves, which are relaxed, and then same with the biceps, both biceps relaxed in the widest part.
And following that, we took body composition measurements. We assessed each individual's body fat percentage using skin fold measurements at 4 designated sites. This is done by pulling the subcutaneous fat away from the muscular tissue and then measuring the fold with the skin fold caliper. We took 3 trials in each designated site and averaged them for more accuracy. And these sites include the abdomen, and all these measurements are done on the right side of the body. So the abdomen is where the X is about 1 inch away from the belly button. The ilium is right on the iliac crest. The tricep is on the relaxed tricep in the middle of the tricep, both vertically and horizontally. And then the thigh is also measured in the middle of the thigh, of a relaxed thigh. And this picture on your right is an example of Chris taking a skin fold measurement on me. You can see him pulling the subcutaneous fat away from my muscle and then measuring it with the caliper.
So after we take body composition measurements, we go into the cardiorespiratory fitness part of the test. And first, before we actually start the test, we have to sit down and for a few minutes to get a resting heart rate. And by doing that, we measure the pulse for a time of 15 seconds. And then after that, the participant performs a 3-minute step test where they step up and on and off a 12-inch box to a rhythmic beat for 3 minutes. And then immediately after the test is over, they sit down on the box, and then we take their heart rate or recovery heart rate over 60 seconds. And as you can see from here, this is Chad performing how to properly stand on and off the 12-inch box.
Following that test, we assessed each participant's flexibility using a sit and reach box. For the criteria of this test, the participant sits flat on the ground and they put their feet against the wall of the sit and reach box, and then they reach hand over hand in a continuous movement, pushing the dial. They are allowed 3 attempts, and then we record the best of 3. And the score for this can either be negative or positive, where a score of 0 would be if the participant can reach their toes. Anything before the toes is a negative score, and anything past the toes would be a positive score. This is better represented by this image. On the far left, that's me in the starting position. Before I push the dial, you can see my legs are flat on the floor, my feet are against the wall, and I'm reaching hand over hand. This is me during the test, just pushing at a steady pace.
And then the final part of the fitness age testing is testing muscular strength and endurance. And there's 2 parts to this test. The first one is a 1-minute sit-up test. It's just as many sit-ups as you can do in 1 minute. And then the criteria for just the 1-minute sit-up is to have your hands over your shoulders. Make sure when you're coming back off the sit-up, your head touches the back of your head touches the mat, and your elbows come over your knees. And that'll count as 1 full sit-up, and you can do as many as you can in 1 minute. And the second part is push-ups to exhaustion, and this is just completing push-ups, as many push-ups as you can and however much time you need to take, but as much as you can, and you go through a full range of motion, and it's continuous, so you can't stop moving. And the tester holds their fist out under the participant's chest, and they have to come down and touch their chest to the tester's hand. And so in these next 2 slides, Chad shows how to correctly do the sit-up in the 1-minute sit-up test. His head comes back, touches the mat, his hands are over his shoulders, and his elbows come over his knees. And then for the push-ups, he's in the push-up position, and he comes down, he touches his chest to my fist, and he will continuously do that until he can't go anymore.
So the score for fitness age is calculated through entering the data into the fitness age testing computer program. And the programming compares the participant's score with the norms of the participant's age. And then it provides us with each participant's physiological age overall, and then their age broken down into the 4 different components of health, along with the body fat percentage measurement. And this is the data form that we would use. So you can see the overall fitness age would be the first thing we record, and then it breaks them down into the 4 categories of health, and then also body fat is recorded on this form.
So going into our actual results for the middle distance crew, you can see that the average height that they obtained was 71.7 inches, weight was 151.5 pounds, and body fat percentage was 5.44%. And as you can see, they all had about roughly the same body composition or body physique, so this worked well. And going into the actual results of the fitness age testing, for the middle distance crew, the chronological age, their actual age average was 22.6, but their overall fitness age was actually 21.8, which is in this sense, or in this case for testing, is better. Everybody wants to be younger, so their fitness age is lower than their actual age. And going to cardiorespiratory age is 18.8 years. Body composition age is perfect score of 18. Flexibility age is where the middle distance suffered a little bit, and they had two participants score 50 years old and 30 years old in the flexibility. And then for muscular strength and endurance, it was 25.4 years old for the average age.
In assessing the long distance group, they had an average height of 69.4 inches and an average weight of 133.6 pounds. Their average body fat percentage was 5.12, and so this group was also similar in body composition. Their average chronological age was 22.2 years, and their fitness age score, so their physiological age, was 25 years, which is bad because it's older than their actual age. So this shows that we have some areas where they can improve. Cardiorespiratory fitness, they scored a perfect 18, and the same thing with body composition age, they had a perfect score of 18. Where their score really suffered was flexibility age, where they scored 41.6, and like they're all in their 20s and had an average of 41.6. On this, you can see 2 scored 55, 1 scored 50, not very flexible. But muscular strength and endurance, they scored 29.8, which should also be lower.
So for our data analysis and discussion, middle distance runners were younger in overall fitness age by about 3.2 years, and contributing to this was mainly because of the long distance athletes' older age in flexibility, which made them 14 years older than their actual age. But what we've kind of thought or found was that middle distance runners need to be more flexible because they are performing more explosive movements in the events that they're doing, from 400 meters to 1 mile. And long distance runners have decreased flexibility due to the more mileage they put on the legs, so they have a lot more muscle tightness.
Long distance runners had a slightly lower cardiorespiratory age than the middle distance group. We attribute this to the fact that long distance runners run more mileage than the middle distance group, and running more trains the cardiorespiratory system more.
And then muscular strength and endurance was higher in long distance runners by about 4.4 years. And we also found that middle distance runners need to be more powerful for a shorter amount of time, while long distance runners need higher endurance rather than strength for energy preservation purposes.
So something else we found was 40% of our participants had lower than recommended body fat percentages. And so this is a concern because the essential fat that we need in our bodies prevents us from getting sick and from getting injured. And so 4 of our participants were under 5% body fat. No one went under 3, thankfully, but we had 4 under 5%. And so we would like for that to at least be over 5% to make sure that they have enough essential body fat.
So for our recommendations for the athletes, both groups, but long distance especially, need to increase flexibility. This can be done by performing a stretching regimen 2 times a week at a minimum. And this should be a combination of static stretching and dynamic stretching. So static stretching is just holding a stretch for a certain amount of time. And this is an example such as like sit and reach hamstring stretch, like as Chad was doing in the sit and reach test. And dynamic stretching is doing a set of movements that stretches the certain muscles, such as high knees or butt kicks. And the focus on these stretches should be multi-joint areas and large muscle groups, such as like quadriceps and hamstrings.
So for both groups, but especially our long distance group, and again, they need to increase their muscular strength and endurance. So our recommendation to them was to perform a resistance or strength training regimen 2 to 3 times per week, where they perform each exercise, 3 sets of each exercise 12 to 15 times, 12 times more for the middle distance group, whereas 15 times for the endurance group because they need more endurance. And also to focus on large muscle groups and multi-joint areas, Some examples would be weighted lunges, like doing lunges with the medicine ball, or body weight pull-ups. So the idea here is to work a large portion of your body without doing very many lifts, because this is not the bulk of a runner's training. So they don't need a lot of time in the gym, but they do need to spend some time inside the gym.
And just for future research recommendations, as far as standardized testing procedures, we would like to perform the test in the morning prior to any exercise. What unfortunately happened was a few of our participants in the beginning had to do the testing after their main run. So in order to control that, we had all the participants perform the fitness age testing after an easy day run, luckily. And we'd also like to test everyone at least on one recovery day and on the same training cycle. So what I mean there is that a lot of these athletes have to have hard workouts throughout the week, and so they do have recovery days after the hard workouts. So we'd like to have the fitness age testing be done on recovery days, so that the body isn't tired from or still recovering from these hard workouts. And then just for general purposes, we like to have increased number of participants for future research, so we can have better representation of the results we found. And we'd also like to include female participants for comparison, just to see how fitness age testing looks on the other side with females.
So we were able to conclude fitness age testing is a great way to assess health and fitness, and for people to see where they need to make improvements towards their health. It's helpful in allowing people to reach their fitness goals. Specifically to our study, it provided us with insight into the differences between male collegiate middle distance runners and male collegiate long distance runners. And from this study, we were able to conclude that middle distance runners have an overall lower fitness age than long distance runners, and again, a lower score in this test is a better score. This is a list of our references.